All right, welcome back to another episode of Beer Bacon Bros. As always, I'm Alex. Got Chris. We got Keith down there. We're going to talk about a little bit of NHL drama that's, sent a little bit of ripple wave through the league as the postseason is coming into wrapping up almost. We're now into the conference finals. That's about to start tomorrow at the time of recording. But before we jump into all that, if you don't mind, just make sure you hit the like button, comment. If you can, subscribe. Please do so. It just helps us grow. And we're just trying to get as much of a fan base and a following, and just try to put out some good content for you guys. But make sure you're also in the comments dropping some NHL shit talking, telling us if we're wrong, what you think is going to happen. But we love the interaction, and we will actually interact with you, so don't be afraid to just come in and actually just shit talk what we say. But anyways, let's jump into it. The NHL drama that is happening right now is the writing's kind of been on the wall for people that follow the NHL, but the Arizona Coyotes, or Coyotes, however you want to say it, they had 3 different propositions proposed to the city of...
It was Tempe, right?
Tempe, yeah. Tempe, Arizona. I was going to say something weird, but I knew there was like that weird E on the end of it. But the Arizona's organization put the propositions out there where they were going to build, I think it was like a $1.5 billion facility, but it's really a battery. They're going to build an arena,
have the
restaurants, hotels,
yeah.
housing. Literally going to build like this one massive just city surrounding the new arena, and hopefully revitalize the area and get some more following for the hockey team. Propositions lost, I think, by like almost 60% of the votes were saying no on that. There was a lot of big pushback on union workers, increase of the housing, the tax cuts the organization was going to get, and a bunch of other things that just the locals were not okay with.
Yeah.
And now this is also a team that went into bankruptcy before. A couple years ago, the league actually owned them for, I think, 2 or 3 years, and then a new owner came in. That's when they went from the Phoenix Coyotes to the Arizona Coyotes, because they moved out of the Phoenix metropolitan area, so the new owners renamed them Arizona. But the census is, as of right now, with all this being denied and Arizona only playing in the actually Arizona State University's arena that can only hold 5,000 people, which average NHL is, at least 15 upwards, just like basketball arenas. The writing on the wall seems very much that Arizona's got to figure out what they're going to do, and it seems that their future in Arizona has come to an end here.
Yeah.
And so a lot of talks have come up about, now that it's not an expansion, it's a relocation situation. Which cities do we think Arizona's going to relocate to?
Okay.
Can we go back to being the Winnipeg Jets? Can we have like Winnipeg
Jets
1 and Winnipeg Jets 2?
Yeah. Yeah, so they are the original Winnipeg Jets that moved. Winnipeg Jets, somebody reestablished the franchise, of course. So yeah, let's get them all in an arena, fight to the death. The last team standing gets to actually be Winnipeg.
Yeah. But
so there's a lot of talk about Quebec City, and Hamilton up in the northeast for us, but basically southeast of Canada.
Yeah.
But with Hamilton, you're going to be right there beside Buffalo and Toronto, like a bus ride away. Quebec City, you're up there near Montreal, and those concerns with those 2 cities, of course, is market saturation. And
you're not really gonna. Especially if you move to was it Hamilton?
Yeah.
When you're in between Toronto, which already has a team, and Buffalo that has a team.
Yeah.
You're really gonna.
And one thing we know about Toronto fans is they're diehard.
Right.
You're not pulling any Toronto fans.
Right. So I mean, if you move there, you're basically just setting them up to fail again, in my opinion, because you're not going to be able to draw much of a fan base, because they're already split between 2 teams as it is.
That's wild. That would be 3 teams.
Yeah, so there's Hamilton there, and then Quebec City's up here.
And there's
Quebec City's up here.
Yeah.
But Ottawa and Toronto would also be with Hamilton.
Yeah, and you got Buffalo.
Buffalo's right across the line.
Buffalo Sabres.
I was just thinking Ontario, the province of Ontario, would have 3 Canadian professional hockey teams.
Yeah. So there's talks about those 2. For the U.S. at least, there's talks about Houston, Portland, Kansas City, and then there is talks about Atlanta, but Atlanta's tried this twice and has failed.
Well, they had the Thrashers.
Yeah, they had the Atlanta Flames too, which became the Calgary Flames.
Oh, okay.
So the Calgary Flames, their assistant or associate, whatever you want to say, their A logo they put on the jersey for that guy, it's the original Atlanta Flames logo.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so the Calgary Flames used to be Atlanta, and then the Thrashers ended up going to being, I think they went to go be the Minnesota Wild. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I think that's who they came.
Milwaukee also apparently is.
Milwaukee, yes.
Milwaukee makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So,
Houston is apparently the largest city that doesn't have the complete four
Yeah.
of the professional major sports in North America.
Which would make sense for them to get that.
Yeah.
So that way they'd have everything that they possibly want.
Doesn't it just like feel weird though to have a hockey team in Houston, Texas? Like it
Well,
feels
Dallas
weird.
has one.
I know it feels
Yeah.
weird to have.
Who's
a
actually
hockey
having a
team.
lot of success right now and has actually got quite a bit of a fan
I give him
base.
credit. I give him credit. So it just feels weird having a hockey team in such a hot area of the country.
In the
but
South.
I like Portland.
In the Midwest.
Man. I'm gonna tell you,
You like Portland?
I like Portland.
Now there's a little bit of saturation too. 'Cause you do have Seattle up there,
Right there
not too
now.
far at all.
Yeah.
and then I guess LA would be the next.
LA, and
Is there
then,
anything over Vancouver?
and then you also got Edmonton and Calgary, not too
Yeah.
far. You got the Vancouver Canucks.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So,
I
I
mean,
mean, you're
you
still
got some
getting
teams, but it's not. It's definitely not like if you went to Hamilton, where
Where
you
you're
got
in
a
the middle
city
of
transit
everything.
takes you to Toronto.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, it's the Mets and Yankees
Yeah.
of
You know,
hockey.
Honestly, another place that would probably, I don't know how much they would enjoy, would be Kansas City, because I mean, there's really not much over there with the exception of the football team and the baseball team. And the baseball team's not that great.
Yeah,
So-
I feel like the Kansas City fan base is so loyal to the Chiefs and not that loyal to the Royals. So that's what would scare me.
Well, but the good news is the majority of the hockey that would be played would be after football was probably football probably is pretty much done.
Yeah.
So even if they make a run, they would have more of a fan base. I feel. And,
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean,
And I feel personally that hockey fans are more diehard than baseball fans. So if you're a hockey fan, you're going to probably go to the baseball game. You're going to go to the hockey game over the baseball game. In my
I
opinion.
do like, and I do think a big thing also about Kansas City that might benefit the hockey team a little more than the baseball team is it's indoors.
yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, so you don't have to deal with
Because
adverse
I mean,
weather.
it
or
does get hot in
heat.
Kansas
Yeah.
City, and it does get cold in Kansas City.
Yeah,
so
it does both.
you would be, safe from the elements in either situation. So
Now, one of the big things the NHL looks for in all these teams is, of course, Seattle being the latest expansion team. They had a history of hockey in the city, so you can kind of gauge how they felt. But a lot of these teams, when I say history, like sometimes those teams hadn't been there for like 20 to 30 years at
Right.
that point.
Yeah.
The real big one being Vegas, having zero hockey or any hockey affiliates whatsoever. Took a gamble on that. Shit
Which
hit,
the Stanley
hit
Cup
right.
offers
absolutely
hit,
paid
hit,
off.
hit right and absolutely paid off. Vegas has already got a magnificent fan following in the fanfare.
which
So
the Stanley Cup is
so
the
it's one of
first
those things.
season.
Yeah, you have to weigh. You have to weigh the. All right, do hockey fans already live there, or can we create hockey fans? Which one do you want to go with? Which Houston doesn't. I don't think they actually really have. No, they do. The Houston Aeros. They were back in the
Yeah.
70s. Yeah, Gordie Howe played with them for a little bit.
75.
Yeah.
I guess, yeah.
Atlanta, of course, has the recent team, but Atlanta's flopped twice on
Yeah.
ownership.
Hey, Portland had a team in 1914, all right?
Okay, yeah. Then the other things you got to consider is especially like Hamilton and Quebec City is the market large enough to support an NHL team and the revenue that the league expects.
Well, yeah, because you're gonna want to make sure that you can make revenue off
Yeah.
of it. You're not gonna put somebody or a team somewhere you're not gonna draw the fan base. You're not gonna draw a crowd. I mean, which is what's happening in Tempe right now with the.
With the Coyotes, yeah, they can't.
I mean,
hell, they can only
we're
fit 5,000.
Yeah, so I mean, what's the point of having a team?
And you're talking about a franchise that's already gone through a bankruptcy, ownership by the league, and being sold over, and now you don't want to relocate them and then just be in the exact same spot again, where the league have to come over and take over the team.
So apparently the Kansas City did have the Kansas City Scouts joining the league in 1974, then moved to Denver in 76, ultimately moving to Jersey and becoming the New Jersey Devils.
That's right.
So they have already had a team, but apparently already weak attendance numbers in a struggling sports market at the time, which is not the case anymore.
Not anymore.
No, Kansas City is not a struggling sports market anymore.
Yeah.
I think, honestly, your best option would be a Houston or Kansas City, because you have the Arizona Coyotes is I want to say the furthest west team in the Central Division before it becomes the Pacific Division.
Mm-hmm.
No.
But if they come all over to Houston and Kansas City, they're still right in the heart of the Central Division.
They're
So,
smack dab in the middle.
They're all still surrounded by their exact same divisional opponents, division rivalries. So you don't have to do any conference realignment. But let's say you throw them up into Hamilton and Quebec City, you now got surrounded by the Metropolitan and the Atlantic Division. Where, all right, you're going to make one of those just have one extra team, and then the Central is out of team now. So what are you going to do?
Yes, you have to realign again, and then that just takes way too much.
Yeah, because now that you have Seattle and Vegas in there, you actually have an even number across all 4 divisions.
I mean, Vegas can move back to the Central Division, honestly, but
Vegas could.
There's
all kinds of work you can do.
If they went to Portland, my thought is if they went to Portland, you have to move Vegas.
And now you even have Chicago is up in the Central, so I mean you really could go a little bit more to the right and grab a Metropolitan or Atlantic team, and then throw Arizona when they move into the Atlantic or Metropolitan.
You could throw which city they go throw Pittsburgh into a weaker division for them. That'd be
I wouldn't be mad at it. Yeah. I don't know. Chicago's about to get what's his face, the number 1 pick overall. I forget his name.
Yeah. Connor Bedard.
Connor Bedard. Yeah.
We talked about it last week.
Yeah. So they're gonna get him. So they might not be the weakest division anymore because I don't know. Chicago might be able to carry the whole division's weight. But I mean, I'm gonna say Houston would be the smartest. I think it'd be the best chance for success right off the bat.
Yeah, it's a huge city, loyal fan base to the Texans.
Absolutely.
Really great loyal fan base for the Rockets, and of course even the Cheaters. They have supported them through the years.
Yeah, the Cheaters. Right? I also think one of the big things about Houston though, instant rivalry between them and the Dallas Stars.
Yeah, it would really give Dallas something. Yeah.
Yeah. Like they're already divisional opponents, but then all of a sudden maybe an in-state division.
Yeah. In-state rivalry.
Yeah.
But and then Houston probably has the resources and just the space to accommodate a new team like that. With as big as Houston is, you could probably put them in and they'd be just fine.
Now, there's one, I believe it's Kansas City. They have a weird stipulation in, was it the T-Mobile Center or one of the arenas they have there that they've talked about how this hockey team can immediately just jump into and go. Apparently, that facility cannot just house a hockey team. There's some weird rule with who owns it that they can't have just a hockey team there. If you actually go back to that article we were just on, that's like you were I read it. Go to Kansas City, and it should be the case against.
You were right though. It's
the T-Mobile Center.
Yeah.
Yeah. I believe it's this article that talks about it.
Here we go.
I can't remember. We'll find it. But yeah, I think it's the T-Mobile Center has got some weird clause to where you can't bring in a hockey team only. That they have to bring in possibly like an NBA team or something else like that. Too. Yeah. I
don't think the NBA is going to
Who plays in the T-Mobile Center now?
It's probably some college or just a concert venue.
Arena Football League.
Arena Football League.
Yeah, it's an arena football league team. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's gonna be a hurdle. But I think honestly, at the end of the day, money will talk. And the NHL brings quite a bit of money.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be.
I know that was a benefit for in my thoughts. I followed the Seattle Kraken expansion a little bit. I know that was a huge benefit for Seattle was being able to step into the Supersonics old arena. Yeah. Really touch it up. They didn't build a whole new arena or anything, and now as they've played out how the fan base has grown and their attendance, and is there the value now for them to destroy that and build a really state-of-the-art arena for the Kraken?
Probably, yeah. Which I think isn't their arena the one with the weird long name about conservation to save the Earth's legacy or something? It's a very weird long name.
It's Monarch Test changes name to Meta World Peace.
Climate Pledge Arena. I swear that's not the full name, but that's what it's known as, the Climate Pledge Arena.
Yeah.
Meta World Peace kind of thing. Yeah. So you think Portland? So I think honestly the best options is the 3 U.S. cities we've listed. Hamilton and Quebec City. I think revenue get enough revenue built up.
I definitely don't think Hamilton's an option. I think Quebec City would be interesting. I would love to see them add another Canadian team for the NHL.
Yeah, just give them another chance to get a title.
Well, of course, yeah, but it originated in Canada. Might as well support it. So I think Quebec City would be really cool.
The national sport.
My next one would be Portland, just because of how I can see how loyal that. Obviously, if you've never seen the Portland Timbers, you got to see that fan base. They are fantastic. But I also see the Portland Trailblazers fans always supporting them and their city. So I think Portland would be, even no matter how crappy they are, I think they would be a good city to add some depth in another sport. But Houston does make the most, from a strategic business sense for me, I do think Houston makes the most sense.
Now, do we think Atlanta has evolved enough with
no.
Fans there? You don't think so? Because when the Atlanta FC took off and they had a shit ton of fans just came out of nowhere.
If you look back at it with maybe the Braves. If you look back at the Braves from 2000 2003 through maybe what 2015,
Yeah.
20 when they started becoming relevant again. There wasn't but maybe 10,000 people, 20,000 people in the stands. Like they didn't draw a crowd like they do
and
now.
it's so hard too. Also trying to figure out where you're going to put it in Atlanta because like if you say, Turner Field was one of the reasons the Braves hurt so much with attendance was just the location in Atlanta where it was.
Yeah, that's why that and taxation is why they moved out into Cobb County.
Yeah, so it's one of those things to where if you try to go back to Atlanta, you got to figure out.
You have to go north of Atlanta. It's like
you got to figure out where you're going to place it because obviously the Braves did that huge long study where they ended up finding that where they built now is where most of their ticket sales were coming from.
Almost 90% of their ticket sales are coming
so
from.
that's why they moved there.
Yeah.
So it'd be kind of hard for the Atlanta relocation team to gauge that. Portland would be really cool. Throw another team over there on the west of the Rockies. I think Houston's gonna be my vote. I would say.
Did they have a team in Salt Lake City?
No, but there is a lot of just hockey history and hockey.
That's another city that
everything
we thought about might would make a little sense.
I don't know if they have the population support, as in like, it's not a large enough city.
Yeah.
To handle.
Well, they support the Nuggets really well, and I'm thinking Denver, Colorado Avalanche are really supported well. Obviously, the Broncos are supported well, so the Denver Nuggets, and then Salt Lake City, the Utah Jazz, would be a team that I also feel like is very supported in that city. So
that could be a good one because
no football team, no football team, and no baseball team to worry about.
They could possibly use the Jazz as an arena.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Yeah.
Depending on the logistics, figuring it out schedule-wise.
Figure it out with the schedules, but it's something they could potentially look at doing. I'm sure there's another arena there that they could use.
Yeah.
But I think, like logistically, I think Houston makes the most sense, but just based off of number of people, how big the city is, the city can accommodate a new arena like that, or if they don't have an arena now that they can get into. Or even playing in NRG until they got something. Just put the ice rink down and play in NRG.
Yeah.
So, they could do something, but I think Houston makes the most sense logistically.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about the Texans making the playoffs, so you just use their stadium.
So have a bunch of stadium games towards the end of the
year. Yeah. Come out and support the new team.
Yeah. That's NHL talk right now. Make sure you hit in the comments what you think the NHL should do. More and more has come out. It seems like Arizona, their time is done. So we've got an NHL team on the move. Let us know where you think they should go.